Boom! What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Happy Sunday to you all, and welcome to another live beer review. Today we're going to be taking a look at another beer that was sent over my way from Mr. The Real Beer Snob on Instagram. I did a trade with him maybe a month or so back, and this is another one that came in through the trade. So today we got one here from Ingenious Brewing Company. I've done a couple of reviews from them before. They're out of Humble, Texas, and this one is a part of their Russian Imperial Stout line that they do called Make Russia Great Again, and this is their Fudge Brownie variant. And the name kind of cracks me up every time I read it, and plus the hat's pretty. The hat on the freaking grizzly bear is pretty hysterical. So I think I'm going to really enjoy this one because Ingenious does a lot. They kind of stick to specific styles of beer. I guess if you look on their website, they know they specialize in pastry stouts. They do a lot of nice IPAs, and then they kind of specialize in milkshake IPAs as well. So I'm curious of what their kind of take on a Russian Imperial Stout is going to be, just because Russian Imperial Stouts are a little bit more of a heavier body sometimes, definitely a little bit more of a drier kind of stout. Definitely, they're hopped during the boil, I think, a lot more as well. So there's definitely more of a pronounced bitterness in a Russian Imperial Stout. So But especially since it's been conditioned on, I believe it was like they use like brownie batter and all that kind of stuff in there. Because when you condition stuffing, it's when you condition something, it's when you're adding it when it's in the bright tank and you're kind of just letting the stuff sitting there kind of mingling with the beer as it's carbonating and all that kind of stuff. So I'm curious if there's going to be like a pronounced kind of chocolatey kind of flavor, maybe like a fudginess, who knows. But I know they condition it with some other stuff in there to kind of get that overall fudgy brownie experience. So I'm pretty curious of what this thing's going to be. It comes in at a 12.5% ABV, so definitely not sessionable. I'm going to say this right off the bat. This is definitely a higher ABV. Not some of the highest ABV stuff that I've ever had. Of course, you guys know I love my high ABV stouts, high ABV beers. They're always a big fan of mine. So, I mean, not a big fan of mine. I'm always a big fan of theirs. What the hell am I talking about? But, yeah, I'm pretty damn excited to try this one out. It looks like I've heard some pretty good things. So, let's crack this thing open and see what we get on the nose with this guy. Don't mind my dog barking if you hear in the background. I don't think you will, but let's see what we get on the nose with this guy. Okay, yeah, definitely getting notes of a Russian Imperial Stout for sure. Definitely having that nice kind of just very like malt, a little bit of coffee forward. Getting a little bit of sweetness on the nose, not really that much. But yeah, it smells pretty damn delicious. So I'm going to be drinking this out of my untapped tulip glass this afternoon. So let's pour this thing and see what this thing's all about. Oh yeah, look at that. Dark as my soul, which a way I like. Actually looks like it's pouring a lot more syrupy than I thought, which is very surprising for a Russian Imperial Stout. Yeah, this is pouring very syrupy. Whoa. Look at that. A little bit of a nice kind of light brown head on the top, but that was pouring thick, which I'm very surprised for a Russian Imperial Stout. Definitely getting, it's not actually not as, you're not getting a lot of those bitter notes that you would get on the nose on this one as I thought. You're definitely getting a little bit of a chocolate, getting a little bit of a coffee kind of flavor. But yeah, it smells absolutely delicious. So let's give this guy a try and see what it's all about. So, cheers everybody. Happy Sunday.
Open this other gate up. I can open the big gate. Oh no, this one right here.
Okay. Yeah, this is definitely one of the more syrupy Russian Imperial Stouts I think I've ever had, to be honest. I wasn't expecting that. Definitely for a Russian Imperial Stout, I don't want to say you're not going to get syrupiness when it comes to mouthfeel, but you're definitely going to have, for me, the ones I've experienced, there's definitely a little bit more of a lighter, thinner kind of mouthfeel to it. Definitely a little bit more effervescence and stuff, so having this be as syrupy as it is definitely caught me off guard. Definitely has characteristics of a pastry stout as well, which is something that Ingenious specializes in, so definitely see where they kind of went with it, maybe like adding notes of a Russian Imperial when it comes to possibly the grain bill to some of the stuff they do when it comes to making a pastry stout. So yeah, it's not bad. Definitely not. I'm definitely getting a lot of flavors in this one, but the brownie batter part of it, getting that overall like fudge brownie experience, it's a little bit lighter. For the chocolate flavors I'm getting is definitely more of a dark chocolate, bittersweet kind of chocolate. I don't know if I'm getting a nuttiness. When I think of brownies, I think of sometimes they add nuts to it. Not really getting a lot of nuttiness. And I was thinking, of course, when you condition something with nuts and all that kind of stuff, well, anything you're adding nuts or anything that kind of like that to a beer, there's always going to be a natural kind of oils that the nuts produce. So depending on what nut you use, you can have sometimes when you pour it, there'll be a film on the top of your beer just because of those oils that the nuts kind of produce themselves. So it doesn't look like there's really much of, there's a little bit of a film, not too much, just the smallest amount of like film on the top of the beer inside of the glass, but nothing too like that's like detrimental to it. But before we talk about this anymore, let's look over here at Untapped and let's see if we can find something that Untapped shows as a similar beer to this, where I can possibly find one to where if you can pick it up, or if you can find it anywhere near you, you may be able to get a similar experience. So let's look here. They got one here called Spectral Swan of the Wrath Solar Eclipse. That's a whoa. Okay, hold on a second. What? Okay. This one is from Burns Family Artisan Ales. These guys are out of Denver, Colorado, and this Spectral Swan of Wrath Solar Eclipse is a 21% ABV Russian Imperial Stout. Holy shit. And I guess they say it's a ×3 barrel-aged Russian Imperial Stouts that takes 2 years to create. Aged in stainless steel, then Law's 4-grain bourbon barrels, then single malt whiskey barrels, and finally Heaven Hill Elijah Craig barrels. So going through 3 different barrels in that one. Yeah, that is going to be a boozy monster. That would be something I would love to get my hands on. A 21% ABV in Russian Imperial Stout. That sounds crazy. But it's like, to that point, you're almost drinking bourbon at that point. But that's insane. I would definitely love to try to get my hands on that one. Holy shit. But, yeah, I don't know if I consider this one similar. The IBU rating is pretty close, but that one, you're going to get a boozy kick like none other when it comes to that one. So I don't know if I compare that one. Let's see, we got one here from Atmosphere Brewery called the Exp Imperial Stout, which is a 15% Russian Imperial. And Atmosphere is located out of, okay, they're in Russia. So then we got one here from The Answer called Enon Waltz, if I'm saying that correctly, which is a Russian Imperial, 13.1%. Let's see. Aged on Unicorn Tier with virgin coconut from Virgin Island. Maple syrup with Huggy Bear Cave. Some rare coffee beans from AA Ron Base. What? I don't know if that's like actual description or not, but let's see. We got one here from Emperor's Brewery, which is Emperor's Black Heart, which is a 13.7% with damson chocolate. Damson chocolate. Was it pudding? It's a put. They're okay. It's saying it's a pudding beer, which is interesting. But these guys are out of. I'm not even gonna say that. These guys are out of England. So that's interesting. Next one we got here, the last one we're going to look at here is called Beheading Leviathan, which is a coffee, Mexican vanilla bean, Russian Imperial Stout. That's a 22% ABV. Holy shit. Where are these high ABV beers coming up on the similar beers with this one? That sounds crazy. And these guys are located in St. Louis, Missouri. So a 22% Russian Imperial Stout. Let's see, cranked up to 11 and then some. Utilize a semi-open fermentation to push the beer to 18.8 ABV going into the barrel. That holy crap. So yeah, it's bourbon barrel aged before being doused in the whole coffee beans and all that good stuff, vanilla and then Mexican vanilla in the barrel for final days of aging. That sounds 20 plus ABV beers showing up as the similar beers list on this one. What the hell is going on here? Oh, it's gonna be a tough one to try. I'm taking off the one from Burns Family and Bluewood because having a 20+% ABV Russian Imperial Stout, that's gonna be a whole other ballgame. You're gonna have to like booziness. You're gonna have to like bourbon or whiskey. Those are flavors that are gonna be very, very predominant. So I'm leaning towards more of this Emperor's Black Heart from Emperor's Brewery out of England. So Ian, I don't know if you're gonna be watching this. Maybe if you've heard of anything from Emperor's Brewery that you may be able to find. So if you're trying to find something similar to this one, this Emperor's Black Heart, maybe something similar to that. See, we kind of make our Russian Imperial Stout. I don't want to say it's going to be similar flavors to this, but you get flavors of chocolate. With our 2-ton bonnet, that's our Russian Imperial Stout that we don't have on tap right now. That's probably going to be coming out towards the winter and everything. But we did a barrel-aged version of it. But I want to say that might be bringing off similar flavors to this one. It's not completely that close to this, but overall, a lot of breweries do make Russian Imperial Stouts. I say it's more of a common style of stout than you would think. I know a lot of breweries are coming out with like pastry stouts and all that kind of stuff, trying to experiment with sweeter, dessertier kind of flavors into a stout. But if you're looking for just like your normal kind of just namesake, like boozy, almost having a little bit of bitterness, like a little bit of chocolate, stout kind of flavor, Russian Imperial Stouts are the way to go. Definitely leaning more towards the bitter notes of everything. So if you don't want your stouts to be sweet, a Russian Imperial Stout is definitely the way to go for you. But yeah, I'm going to go with this Emperor's Black Heart to be the most similar. So let's look here back at Untapped and let's read the description of this guy so we can see everything that goes in this one. So it says here it's a Russian Imperial Stout conditioned on chocolate, walnuts, and brownie batter. So the chocolate, what I'm thinking they could possibly use the cacao nibs or the husks, but a lot of the times that's going to be used during the boil. Or they could have just used actual like semi-sweet chocolate like sauce or anything like that while it's conditioning. That's definitely going to be a messy cleanup. But the walnuts, of course, that's going to be... Okay, so when they say it's conditioned, they add all this stuff when it was in the bright. So I'm curious what kind of chocolate they added. The walnuts, of course, is going to be added during the bright tank, and then the brownie batter. I'm curious how messy of a situation is adding that brownie batter in there, and what it kind of does to the whole carving process of this beer. But let's see. So let's look back here and see what we can find for ratings, all that kind of stuff. So like I said before, it's a 12.5% ABV. So I would not consider this something that is sessionable at all. Would not put this in the realm of being something that you could have a couple of and just go on with your day. No, this is definitely a sipping kind of beer and all that kind of stuff. And it's a 45 IBUs, which is definitely an IBU rating that makes a lot of sense when it comes to a Russian Imperial Stout. There's definitely a pronounced bitterness in this one, of course. But some bit of the bitter flavor is coming from the hops they use, but of course it could be coming from a little bit, maybe they use semi-sweet chocolate or dark chocolate, adds a little bit more bitterness. They could have only been using cacao nibs instead of the husks, because the nibs have a chocolatey flavor, but it's more of a bitter kind of chocolate flavor when it comes to adding cacao nibs. And the brownie batter, part of it, to me, didn't really add a lot of sweetness. So looking back here, with over 118 rating, this one has an average rating of 3.99 out of 5, which isn't bad at all. And I'm looking at my friends list here. I don't think anybody on my friends list checked this one in. It doesn't look like it. But let's see what other people had to say about this guy. So I was reading through a little bit of them earlier, and there was some that I definitely want to read. So this person gave it a 4.25 out of 5. Looks like he drank this at the on the road, headed out of town. So he's probably just drinking this right before he leaves, going out of town somewhere. This guy checked it in, just said thanks, Rooster. Must have got it from a gift from somebody. This guy gave it a 4.25 out of 5. Purchased at Market Street, which is looks like it's a grocery store in Frisco, Texas. And it said tasty fudge brownie, good stuff. Still, even the second time around. So this is probably not the first time that he's had this one. This person gave it a 4.5 out of 5. This person didn't get a rating. He just said love these guys. So he must be he's a fan of Ingenious beers. This guy purchased his at an HEB, which is like a grocery store over in Edinburgh, Texas. I've heard of HEB before. I know there's quite a few, especially in the Texas area. Let's see. So this guy gave it a 4 out of 5. It looks like he purchased this at the craft beer cellar in Dallas. So availability in Dallas for this guy. This person gave it a 3 out of 5. Looks like he drank it at Wichita Falls Brewing, which is a place in Wichita Falls, Texas. And it's a brewery, beer bar, beer garden, beer store. So they have a lot of stuff going on there. So I'm wondering if they probably he got it on tap over there. So I'm wondering if they worked with Ingenious to get some of their stuff tapped over there and just working with other breweries to kind of get some more stuff in their possession for pours and all that kind of stuff. Let's see. We got another 4.25 here. This is another purchase from Wichita Falls Brewing. Gave it a 4.5 out of 5. Said super dark roasted liquid chocolate rolling into a super dark roasted coffee finish. Enjoy. Yeah, I'm not... Okay, so when it comes to liquid chocolate, I'm not really getting that. Definitely the syrupy aspect of it kind of gives you like a chocolate syrup kind of situation. The slight chocolate flavors, of course, for me, they're more of a bitter kind of chocolate, and maybe having roasted coffee still adding to that bitterness, but there's really not a lot of sweetness going on in this one at all. Let's see, another 4 out of 5 purchase at Wichita Falls Brewing. Let's see, we got a 3.25, same place. We got a 4 out of 5 purchase, same place, and then this is the one I wanted to read. So we're going to do 2 more. This one, then 1 more. So what he put here, he didn't give it a rating, but he said the first beer from Ingenious I've ever disliked. I love Russian Imperials, but this just tastes like a cup of pure sugar syrup to him. Well, to her, because it's her name's Katrina that she checked in. To me, I don't know what she's talking about this one. When it comes to sugar syrup, that I wonder if maybe it was a different batch or something like that. Maybe they sweetened it up on the previous batch. I don't know, but I have no problem with any kind of sweetness overload on this one. So I'm kind of curious maybe what they were tasting. And the last one we're going to look at here, this was purchased at the Choice Beverage Craft Beer and Fine Wines, which is in McKinney, Texas. And he gave it a 3.25 out of 5, saying not too impressed with this one, too bitter for my taste. So maybe I'm assuming this person isn't a fan of Russian Imperial Stouts. They're definitely not for everybody. So having pronounced bitterness, it's kind of going to be something that you have to expect going into drinking a Russian Imperial Stout. So I'm not really sympathetic for that person's check-in, just because when you drink a Russian Imperial Stout, that's something that a flavor you know you're going to get. You're going to get bitterness. You're not going to get overly sweet. You're not going to give crazy kind of just like milk chocolatey kind of flavors. There's going to be a pronounced bitterness in a Russian Imperial Stout for sure. So, yeah, ratings look pretty good on this one. So definitely some decent ones. But with all that being said, let's start trying to figure out what we're going to be doing for ratings on our end with this guy. Let me see if I can pour a little bit more in the glass. Oh yeah, definitely getting some thick stuff coming out at the end. Okay. So, first thing we like to look at is can art. And this one, I'm not 100% sure if this one's going to get me kicked off YouTube, especially for the name and the situation with Russia going on overseas right now. This one's, it's part of their Make Russia Great Again in Russian Imperial Stout line. This is a line from Ingenious Brewing Company that they've probably had out for a little bit because I've seen them doing, I see multiple variations of this on Untapped. So with this one being the way it is, I like it. I definitely think it's something that gives me a little chuckle whenever I look at it, just because there's a grizzly bear wearing a mega hat, but it's a Make Russia Great Again kind of thing, and he's holding brownies in his hand. So with it being a 12 ounce can, taking advantage of their real estate when it comes to making a pretty funny can art. Of course, the Ingenious logo is always really, really clean in my opinion. I think that's just some of the better marketing for a brand of a brewery I've ever seen. Ingenious definitely puts it out there, making themselves known to be very clean and classy. And then taking advantage of the other side of the can, telling the ABV. And then on here they say, this fuzzy comrade is back, and this time he's got a belly full of brownie batter. If revenge is sweet, then this Russian Imperial Stout fits the grain bill perfectly. So it fits the bill perfectly, but since it's a beer, grain bill, because that's what pretty much what you call all the grain that you're adding and that you're going to be using for the bill, for the beer itself, not the grain bill. So, and then you got their other Ingenious logo, which I'm a really big fan of, having that like brain and hops kind of mix kind of situation. So overall, yeah, Ingenious usually does some pretty good stuff when it comes to their can art and usually kind of marketing their beer correctly. So I think this is a really nice one. I'm going to give this a solid 4.25 out of 5 for can art. I like it. Definitely one that I think I'm probably going to save for sure. This is definitely something that I just might look back at every once in a while and just give you a good chuckle. But yeah, if you can see right now, there's definitely some stuff that came out at the end with that one, but that's okay. But let's see here. If I got this beer in a flight over at Ingenious Brewing Company, would I get another one? See, that's gonna be tough. I like the flavors on this one. I wish the kind of the brownie kind of flavor was a little bit more predominant. I mean, you get different components of what you would say a brownie or a fudgy brownie kind of situation, but there is no like cohesive, like this is a fudge brownie that I know. You get chocolate, you get a little bit of vanilla, you get a little bit of a nuttiness, you get this kind of like, I guess the batter is making it kind of syrupy. So overall, the components that make up a fudgy brownie are in this, but they're not all together. So that's what kind of just is a little bit upsetting about this one for me. So if I got this one in a flight, I'd probably be okay with just having this one. Like if I had a can of it, sure, I'd drink it. But I don't know if I'd go out of my way to like, oh, I need to kind of just make sure I have a 4-pack of this stocked in the house and all that kind of stuff. So with that being said, I think I'm going to give my final rating on this guy. I'm going to give this a solid 7.25 out of 10. Maybe leaning more towards a 7. I think a 7 is probably pretty damn good. So yeah, 7 out of 10 is definitely where I'm going to leave it with that one. Overall, pretty solid. There's a couple things I would have wished a little bit would have been there a little bit more, maybe have a more cohesive fudgy brownie kind of flavor to it, not just having the components that make up a brownie and there to be individual flavors you get. But overall, it's still pretty solid. If you're definitely a fan of a nice kind of bitter, having slight dark chocolate flavors in a Russian Imperial Stout, this is definitely one I would recommend for you. If you're looking for something with a little bit of a higher of an IBU rating in a Russian Imperial Stout, definitely something I would recommend. So if you're able to get your hands on this one from Ingenious Brewing Company, yeah, give it a try and see what your thoughts are. I would definitely like to see some other opinions on this beer itself. If they enjoyed the fudgy kind of a little bit of chocolatey flavors, a little bit more of that syrupy kind of mouthfeel. But overall, yeah, not bad at all. So shout outs to Ingenious Brewing Company for coming out with this one. Not bad, people. But let's see here. Other than that, I think that's pretty much what I have for you guys today. So thank you everybody in chat for hanging out. You guys are awesome. If you haven't yet, please hit that like button. It would help me out a lot. Also, if you're new to the channel and like what you see, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well, along with that notification bell. It'll let you know when I ever go live, do another review. But you also can shoot me a follow on all my kind of social media platforms out there. I got my Instagram where you'll be seeing stuff that I can be reviewing that day. Of course, you'll also see shenanigans that I'm doing over at the brewery when it comes to brewing, keg cleaning, all that kind of stuff. I'm trying to keep a little bit more that up to date when it comes to stuff I'm doing over at the brewery, but sometimes I forget and I'm just over at work and not even worrying about getting on my phone and posting stuff on social media. But of course, you could also shoot me a friend request on Untapped. You guys hear me talk about Untapped all the time. It's a fantastic platform for anything craft beer. I like to call it Facebook for beer drinkers. It's a really, really fun time over there. You can check in beers, get badges, all the kind of stuff. It's pretty awesome. And plus, it's just super easy to use. So my link to my profile is down in the description below. You could shoot me a friend request down there. But other than that, let's see. Last but not least, my main place that you can also support me besides all my social media platforms is going to be my Patreon. You guys have heard me talk about the Patreon all the time. We got 2 patrons hanging out in the chat right now. I do monthly craft beer giveaways over on the Patreon to where I pick Illinois exclusive craft beer for people that normally can't get their hands on that stuff to try out. And it's picked up like individually by me, so each beer is going to be a little bit different. So you can join the Patreon. That's going to be the best way to support me, just because gets more beer in my hands for a little bit more money to get me some more beer, and then gives me the opportunity to get more beer out to you guys as well. So if you want to support me, Patreon is going to be the best way to do it. So link to that is down in the description below as well, or you could also find it on my link tree and my Instagram. But other than that, let's see. I think that is it, ladies and gentlemen. So again, thank you everybody in chat for hanging out. You guys are amazing. And I'm going to end this like I always do before we get the hell out of here. If you're going to drink responsibly. Don't drink and drive. And I'll see y'all next time. Cheers.